Hey, Gary. How's it going? Hey, Yingjing.
Hi, Theo.
Hi, how's it
It's
going?
me. Hey? Oh, my name is Gary. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I think we're all coming in as I
All
know, isn't
right.
that funny?
So did you see my message? I drafted a paragraph for you. And do you like it? The I can send it right now.
Hi, Theo.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Good, good. Nice to see you. We're all coming in
Likewise.
as Gary, so if you want to rename yourself, you're welcome to.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, and also, Allie, do you want me to call you Allie or Alexandra?
Alexandra, if that's okay. Thank you.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
just use Ali for friends. So
Sounds good.
here, let me.
Thanks for joining our panel.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's so lovely of you.
Of course.
Let me just actually get my charger because I don't want to run out. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll take a few minutes. Oh. No, Gary, I don't think we hear you. Try again. Hmm. All right. Gary, there are a lot of you here.
Theo,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps message everyone to say to rename themselves.
Oh, that's a great point. Great idea. You're right, because these are other people. Oh, I see, because everybody comes in as Gary. I understand now. Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll get started. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another Gary, is this going to be like permanently on YouTube, or is this just like a live conversation?
Yes, this is live on the YouTube too.
Oh, great. And is it recorded afterwards so folks can view it after, or is it just for folks who are dialing in right now? Everyone, thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another also, I think there's some background. My background.
Yeah, this is
Gary, is this going to be like permanently on YouTube, or is this just like a live conversation?
Yes, this is live on the YouTube too.
Oh, great. And is it recorded afterwards so folks can view it after, or is it just for folks who are dialing in right now? Thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another also, I think there's some background. My background.
Yeah, this is
Gary, is this going to be like permanently on YouTube, or is this just like a live conversation?
Yes, this is live on the YouTube too.
Oh, great. And is it recorded afterwards so folks can view it after, or is it just for folks who are dialing in right now? Thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another also, I think there's some background. My background.
Yeah, this is
Gary, is this going to be like permanently on YouTube, or is this just like a live conversation?
Yes, this is live on the YouTube too.
Oh, great. And is it recorded afterwards so folks can view it after, or is it just for folks who are dialing in right now? Thanks so much for joining. We'll give it another also, I think there's some background. My background.
Yeah, this is
Gary, is this going to be like permanently on YouTube, or is this just like a live conversation?
Yes, this is live on the YouTube too.
Oh, great. And is it recorded afterwards so folks can view it after, or is it just for folks who are dialing in right now? Thanks so much for joining. We'll give it. All right, I think we're all set. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Gary, I just muted you. Never had this issue before. I think you'll have to stay muted, unfortunately, for the conversation, because it sounds like there's a lot of repeating backfeed. I don't know how that's happening. So thanks everyone for bearing with us as we maneuvered some tech issues. Okay, so why don't we kickstart the conversation? All right. So we're gonna get started. And Gary, I've muted you just to preserve the feedback. We need to know also, Gary, is this going to stay the live on YouTube? Is this permanently accessible? And the reason I'm asking is that one of our panelists needs to know before we get started if this is going to be accessible to folks after the conversation. The hope is that it is not accessible, but we just need clarity on that before we get started. Yeah. Okay. Gary, one of our speakers isn't comfortable with the live YouTube recording. Is it possible to turn off the YouTube recording? Okay, well, why don't we start with Joseph? So, all right, so I'm gonna kick things off. Sorry again for the technical issues. Thanks everyone for joining this conversation on leadership and education. We're really excited to be here with you. We have three exciting panelists. We're gonna start with Joseph, who is an HKS graduate, former superintendent of the Seattle Public Schools, and professor on leadership, educational leadership at Johns Hopkins, Tulane, and the Harvard Kennedy School. So, thank you again for being here with us. We're so excited to be having this conversation with you. We're wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how you embarked in this space and what leadership lessons you can offer attendees. thanks again, Joseph. We're
Okay.
happy to be having this conversation with you.
Great, Theo. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and wonderful to see all of your audience members. So thank you very much. So let me just give you a little background on myself and my path through the education leadership terrain, and then I've got, I guess you call them lessons. I'll give you at least one tip of coaching advice that I typically give a lot of people, and then we can go from there. So as Theo said in her opening comments, I went to the Kennedy School. I was the class of 1984. That's ever so slightly after the Stone Age. I think it's between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age, if I have my history correct. And but my ambitions, my aspirations when I came to the K, wanted to be CEO of a major municipal entity, and in my mind, that meant a mayor, head of the Port Authority, head of a housing agency. I never, in my wildest dreams, even thought about education or being a superintendent. The superintendents were for educators, and I wasn't one of those. So I spent my time after the Kennedy School for 12 years in the public finance business, where I advised cities, counties, state governments, housing agencies, port authorities on big capital projects. And it was great work because I was advising all the people who I aspired to be. And it was a great fit for me. And then when I got into my late 30s, I think I was ready to declare victory on that phase of my life, and was trying to figure out how I could move to a governmental body of some kind, and serendipity hit me. The Seattle schools hired the first of the non-educator superintendents, retired general, Black, Republican, in liberal white Seattle, and it was big news nationally. And in complete serendipity, he rented an apartment in the building I had my condo. And so we met in the elevator. We struck up a friendship in the fitness club down in the basement of the building. And one day, literally, this is a true story, I'm on the Stairmaster next to him, and he said, "Hey, I'm starting my superintendency next week, and I have an opening for one position. It's chief financial officer. So would you be my CFO?" So I got the job offer on the Stairmaster. I accepted it on the Stairmaster, and he and I, his name is John Stanford. He and I, became strong partners as he led the school district. We did a lot in 3 years, and then really in a tragic series of events, he contracted a terminal disease. And so while he was ill, the board asked me to be interim superintendent, and then he passed away, and then the board asked me to be permanent superintendent. And I have to say, I was demographically completely incorrect to be the leader of a 50,000 kid, 100 school system. I was 39 years old when there wasn't a superintendent in America, a big city superintendent under age 50. And I was white, I was a non-educator, I was from the business community. I mean, none of that penciled very well. But I embraced the challenge, took it on. I served for 5 years, and got more done in those 5 years I ever thought possible. Accomplished more meaningful things for me personally and for the city of Seattle than I envisioned the day that I accepted the position. So it was, I left there and moved to DC, and worked for a big research institute advising school districts around America on issues. And then I've spent the last 10 years as president, CEO of 4 different companies in the education ed tech space. So I retired 2 years ago, and as Theo said in her comments, I'm a professor where I teach leadership, financial issues, and desegregation and choice and those sort of things. So that's my path. It's unconventional. People have called me the accidental superintendent, and there's some truth to that nomenclature. So Theo, your second task you gave me was to a little piece of advice. So I have a website. If any of you want to go to it, it's josepholchefske.com, and you'll see there one of the things I do a lot of is mentoring mid-career people. And I mentor a lot of mid-career superintendents and other sort of education leaders. And, I differentiate a lot between management and leadership. Management is making the trains run on time. Leadership is figuring out where the tracks go and who should get picked up at various stations. And management, you can think about having a long day in any particular job. So when I mentor a young leader, I start with a very simple question. I say, can we agree this is going to end badly? Your job here, your role here is going to end badly. You're going to be embarrassed in front of your friends and family. You are going to be shamed in the public square. Your name is going to be on the front page of the paper. This in negative light. This is your reality. And of course, these people are young and confident, and they of course tell me, no, I'm different. I'm better. I know better. And I say, well, there's been some smart people ahead of you on this path. And I start naming some names, and they say, well, I'm not going to make the mistake Arlene did, and I'm not going to make the mistake Tom did, and I'm not going to make the mistake Dave did. And so then my second point is always, okay, can we agree you're going to make new mistakes? You're going to find something to screw up eventually. And that's okay. And, 20 minutes, 30 minutes into this conversation, eventually they admit, okay, this is going to end badly. Okay. And then I tell them, this is the most powerful moment of your leadership, because you've accepted you're eventually going to get kicked out. So now the only question you need to answer is, what do you want to get done before that happens? And you are completely empowered. You've accepted your fate. And now let's talk about something, let's talk about the hill you want to die on. Let's talk about the big things, the big deal things you want to accomplish while you have this job, because eventually it's going to end. So that would be my advice. Anybody who wants to move from management to leadership, accept the fact that it's going to end badly, and then identify something big you want to get done and go do it. So there's my advice, Theo. Thank you. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Wonderful feedback, and what an interesting story.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll have all three speakers go, and then we'll open it up to Q&A at the end. So our next speaker is Dr. Alexandra Chen, who is a PhD has a PhD from Harvard University, is a child psychologist and former advisor to the United Nations. Because her comments are a little bit sensitive, I am going to turn off the live YouTube recording. So for folks who are listening in on YouTube, you are welcome to dial in by Zoom. And then when Dr. Alexandra Chen is done speaking, we will turn the YouTube live back on. But for the time being, if you can dial in by Zoom,